good. You are good. You are good. I like you people. All right, that's enough. That's enough. Calm down, for God's sake. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm pretty excited. So there's this amazing new research suggesting the universe is more than twice as old as previously believed. Yep, just like those high school kids at the border. That was some red meat right off the bat. But it's 26.7 billion years old instead of 13.8. It only looked 13.8 billion thanks to balance of nature. It's delicious. But do you know how they figured this out? They cut open one of Nancy Pelosi's kidneys and counted the rings. But astrophysicists were off by 12.9 billion years. They should do accounting for the Pentagon. I bring this up because it seems that we're always told one thing and years later find out it was simply untrue. The universe is 13 billion years old. Carbs are healthy. Wayne Newton was my biological father. And now the COVID story is unraveling faster than Jesse's hair weave. The White House has cut off U.S. funding to the Wuhan Institute of Virology after it failed to provide documents about safety and security. So that makes a lot of sense, right? Kill millions of people with a bioweapon, we keep funding them. Don't do paperwork, and the bureaucrats pounce. So now they've outlined plans to block the lab from receiving future support. Joe Biden hasn't gotten this tough on China since he negotiated Hunter's fee. Yeah, but it's a case of locking the barn door after the diseased horse has escaped. I mean, look around. It's a little too late, right? Remember, this is the place where the NIH was funding gain-of-function research on the virus. Because why cure diseases that exist when we can make diseases up that don't? And last month, Biden authorized the release of a declassified report detailing the lack of consensus among Intel on whether COVID came from the lab or not. That report even notes that scientists at the lab who got COVID didn't follow safety protocols. I think they were French kissing bats. Don't knock it. Meanwhile, in a newly released chat and email section, the great reporter Michael Schellenberg details how 5 top scientists expressed belief that the virus escaping from the lab was possible, if not probable. But they, along with Fauci, led journalists and the public to believe otherwise. Fauci still thought a lab leak was possible in April 2020, but that was 1 month after publicly claiming that it wasn't. But hey, a short man with a book to sell, he'll say a lot of things. Just a reminder, this will be out next week, July 25th. Be sure and order yours now. Let's get me on the list. Daddy needs a new boat. But Fauci and his cronies weren't the only problem. This week, the New York Times quietly admitted the CDC has been overcounting COVID deaths from the start. According to their data from their own website, about 1/3 of recent COVID deaths attributed to COVID were actually caused by something else. And it wasn't from having dinner at Kat's place. But this means that those people died not from COVID, but from something else. The actual overstatement of COVID deaths fluctuated between 10 and 30%. But there was never any understatement, only over. Isn't that weird? It's never the other direction. So why inflate the numbers? Do we even have to ask? The CDC now has less credibility than the White House Coke dealer. I mean, keep track of that stuff. Hard to get, especially in D.C. But the government and the media somehow believe the more COVID deaths we had, the better off we'd all be, to keep us inside, to shut us down, to behave, to take the shots and like it. The mainstream narratives we're being fed to are no longer about information, but shaping our brains. And you're not supposed to notice. This COVID data cited in the Times was a quiet, casual admission by one of the primary pushes of the "we're all gonna die" COVID narrative, and was picked up exactly nowhere but here. You didn't hear about this. You heard it here. You're welcome, America. If CNN had any ethics at all, they'd be running their COVID death tracker in reverse. Look, I know we're sick of COVID, but you can't forget that people weren't allowed to see their loved ones. Other health conditions were left untreated. And we're not supposed to notice that the suspicions we had at the time that were mocked back then turned out to be right? So as we gripe about people being uninformed today, maybe it's the best thing for them, because being informed ain't what it used to be. Welcome tonight's guest. Excuse me. He was adopted, which means his birth parents probably saw his act. Comedian Joe DeRosa. She's like PETA for humans. Humans' right lawyer Brooke Goldstein. His wallet is almost as deep as his laugh. Host of Making Money on Fox Business, Charles Payne. And finally, we close her office door to keep out seagulls. Fox News contributor, Kat Tim. Charles, I love the seersucker.
Thank you.
You are my good humor man. I'll take a cone from you any day.
I was walking by the White House with this on and they asked me to come in.
So does the truth matter anymore? What do you think?
No, the truth doesn't matter anymore if it comes out a year later or 2 years later. I mean, listen, the media knows it's 24/7, media cycle, short attention span, TikTok world we live in. You can people for about a good year, and it does not matter after that. Whatever the goal was to slime someone, to embarrass someone. I think the part at the end you talked about mocking people. Almost everything you talked about, people knew. People had smart suspicions. And of course, this lab thing, it's like you got to be. Everyone knew, and you know certain things instinctively, but you also start looking at the data yourself, and they belittle folks, and it doesn't matter. They can ease the truth out. Almost every day I read something. Extinct animals that I read about 5 years ago. No, there's actually a bunch of them somewhere we didn't know. All these things that we're told are facts and to shut up, we find out later on maybe we should have been inquisitive after all.
Mm-hmm, exactly. So, Brooke, you are a lawyer, or claim to be one, a human rights lawyer.
You always point that out.
I know. I don't know why. I just feel that it's interesting, because I never really met one before.
Certainly not relevant in this platform.
It is.
Is it?
Yes. Why can't Americans file a class action suit against America?
Great question.
Why can't I? You're a lawyer.
I don't give legal advice.
No, you don't.
Randomly on Fox News. But I will say, it kind of first of all, when I read the story, my jaw dropped and I was like, we are still funding that lab? Mm-hmm. And it takes Biden to cut the funding out? Mm-hmm. And I think what's important to note is what you said before. In 2021, they were estimating 10%, right? What was the overcount of deaths. Now they're saying 30%. I guarantee you it's closer to 50%. Mm-hmm. And that's not an insignificant number. And think about all of the decisions that were driven by the fear that was caused, okay? All of the people who decided to take the vaccine. That's not insignificant. People who decided not to see their families. People like me that were giving birth in hospitals to their children and were told that they can't have their husband with them. It affected
he must have been relieved. He's like, oh, Brooke, I better stay out here. I'll be down at the bar watching the World Cup.
Okay, that's enough. He's back there. Watch out.
Oh, is he?
No, he's not. But one more, I want to say one more thing. And then this whole surprise, it was overcounted. It's so predictable because of the incentives that were offered under the CARES Act. If you reported the death was COVID, if you died of anything and you tested positive for COVID, or they misreported or falsely reported, you can get up to 20% extra reimbursement to the hospitals. Yeah. It was obvious that they were providing an incentive for misreporting.
You know what kills me too is that we're not talking about an exaggeration of death. It was the exaggeration of the type of death. So it's like, I would be happy, Joe, to know that we were off by 30% of death. That means that 30% fewer people died. But no, they just misattributed it. And I was thinking it was because most of the deaths were caused by your sandwich shop. See how I shoehorned that in?
I see. I get it. Can your glasses go farther down on your nose right now? Before I speak, if you listen closely, you can hear the sound of channels changing around the country right now.
But wait a second. You did have a store opening. Pretty during COVID.
We opened after the initial lockdowns, but we had to shut down in the Omicron or whatever spike,
so this
whatever.
should piss you off.
Well,
now you're broke because as a comedian you weren't making any money. And your sandwich.
I almost took a job writing for the show.
Oh, by the way, he's not joking.
I'm not joking.
He's not joking.
That's how bad COVID was. None of us were thinking straight. I know. Nobody was thinking straight. I started a hoagie store during COVID.
I know.
No, but there's obviously the distinction of from and with is very important. Mm-hmm. Those are important words to distinguish. For instance, I didn't get gonorrhea with you. I got it from you.
Cat's out the bag.
You can't tell somebody, hey, when you give it to somebody, you can't say, we're all in this together. I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm living with it. I get it. This is terrible. I was disheartened to hear about the cut off of the funding to the lab, because now we're gonna have to make our super viruses the old-fashioned way by having sex with a wombat or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. We could have created monkeypox, but now we're gonna have the monkeys. The monkeys, Kat. Not a suggestion. Shouldn't we sue?
I wish I had those kind of resources. Yeah.
Jacoby and Myers.
Yeah, you're right. Because guys, did any of you guys want to give money to a Chinese virus lab? Me neither. But we all did, and I know that because all of us are here and not in prison, which would have happened to us if we didn't pay our taxes.
That's true.
We have to pay our taxes, and if we don't, we go to prison. But if they use that money for stuff that kills millions of people and then also, limits our ability to actually make more money through businesses, they're just like, whoopsie.
Yeah.
And nothing happens. They keep taking more money.
It is weird, though, that, you say that, taxes is against your will. This is a situation where, you could actually argue, I'm not giving money. Why can't we earmark
They
stuff?
act like paying taxes, being against it, makes me a jerk. Every dollar of your tax money goes to, swaddle a little baby.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Well, do you know what? Honestly, and this might be a secondary layer to this, but that bothers me about what you're talking about can we sue or should we sue or whatever. It freaks me out. It's like everybody's Woodward and Bernstein now. It's like this is all just such a passive thing. Oh, we find out this information. It could be cataclysmic knowledge. It could be this terrible truth we found out. And it doesn't even have an effect on us anymore. This is par for the course. I almost miss government cover-ups.
Yes, because we don't even care.
Yeah, we don't care at all. We wanted the truth. We get it now all the time, and it's
because there's too much stuff flying at us, and we don't care. You got TikTok, you got Twitter, you got the great Fox News, and all this stuff is coming, and it's like you only got 5 minutes to digest something that should really change the way you think.
Yes,
it's overwhelming because the cover up and the misinformation is not just from the government; it's also the medical community. It's also the mainstream media.
Are you saying the Jews, Brooke?
Oh my God, Greg, I'm going to sue you. For that.
All right. Up next, thugs jump with joy with no cash bail in Illinois.
If you'll be in the New York area and would like tickets to see Gutfeld, go to foxnews.com/Gutfeld and click on the link to join our studio audience.
I know life ain't always deluxe, but damn, man, this sucks.
Yeah. What the hell were they thinking ending cash bail in the land of Lincoln? Huh? All right. This week, the Illinois Supreme Court upheld a 2021 law that eliminates cash bail, making it the first state in the nation to suck. No, to do so. It's part of their plan to put dangerous criminals where they belong, back on the streets of Chicago. Meanwhile, Chicagoans celebrated the news exactly how you'd expect, by shooting their neighbors in the face. But that was a joke. I think it was. But other Chicagoans are thrilled. Without cash bail, they have more money to spend on ammo. That was a joke, too. You know what? I bet there's an audience somewhere laughing, right? Thank you. All right, Chicago is now so dangerous, they may legally be required to change their name to Alec Baldwin. One hits. Starting in September, judges will use a risk assessment system to determine whether or not someone should be released. In other words, no matter how heinous the crime is, they'll be totally set free. Criminal justice advocates are celebrating it, claiming it will reduce the number of people held in jail before trial simply because they can't afford bail. Yes, because that's the only reason why they're in jail. And nothing to do with the crimes they committed over and over again and will continue to do over and over again, but they're poor. The fact is, by eliminating bail, you actually eliminate jail. Jails will be so empty you could rent them out for bar mitzvahs and kids' parties. Brooke,
Yes.
that wasn't a slight at your people. But you are the attorney here, so let's take another stab at your expertise.
Let's.
What say you about this? How is this possible? Here, another class action suit. You could sue. Here's the setup. A recidivist criminal commits assault against me, would have been in jail if he couldn't pay if bail, but couldn't. Why can't I sue?
You can't. There's no citizen general standing, and you can't go after the police for failure to act. But as a civil rights attorney, I have to say that there was an issue here. Okay, we had an issue where the high cost of bail would disproportionately affect minorities and marginalized communities. And it's just not fair. Two people go into jail for the same crime. One can afford to bail and one can't. However, you don't solve the problem by eliminating bail altogether, because what do? You create new problems and worse problems. Again, it's about incentives, right? You're incentivizing people to commit crimes because they know they are going to be let go right away. Look what's happening in Chicago, what's happening in New York. You're also disincentivizing the police to make arrests.
Yeah, why bother?
And also the people who are affected by this are minority communities from which the criminals mostly come, and they go back into those communities and commit other crimes. But it's not just this. I'm happy to see people are actually even getting arrested in Illinois. In New York, there's a total failure to arrest and to prosecute. And just to bring it back to the issue of Jew hatred, the community that is really feeling this the most is the Jewish community, because we have the highest percentage of hate crimes are committed against Jewish people. And there's a total failure to prosecute. And even if you prosecute, there's a failure to give sentences that have any weight or meaning. And so the amount of hate crimes rising against Jewish communities, against the Asian community is so high, it's actually very, very scary.
Yeah, I noticed that Joe was nodding along because he hates Jews and Asians. Joe, why do you hate so many people?
Well, have you talked to them? No. I don't hate anybody. I have a tour to promote.
Have you been selling tickets off this show?
Yeah, I have.
Really? They come, they boo you, don't they?
No, they enjoy it. No, but I actually want to piggyback off of what you said, because I do think, I do agree with you. I do think there's an issue. I think this is a massive overcorrection for a previous massive injustice, but I don't think it's creating a solution. I think it is sliding privilege wider. I think everybody's mad that some snotty rich kid gets arrested, goes to jail, and his daddy can bail him out
You're
quickly.
talking about Hunter Biden?
Yes. So I have a solution.
What's your solution?
I have a solution. It's not no cash bail. You keep bail in place, but every time a rich kid gets bailed out by his dad, the contingency is his dad also has to bail out somebody from a lower economic class. And then I think that evens things out.
Yeah, but I don't know. No. I
got claps. What's wrong with it?
I think they were scared of you. They've never seen so many tattoos on a person who shouldn't have them.
Greg's like, no, you're poor, you stay in jail.
Exactly. Finally, somebody's speaking my language. But by the way, okay, Kat, you want to hear what pisses me off?
Always.
Yes. All right. Where's my notes? Okay, you want to know what this is called? It's called the Safety Act, okay? Who would vote against safety, right? It was designed to deceive people. It would be like going, hey, sign this, don't get cancer. Sure, I'll sign it. And then they give you cancer. It's like, this is like, if they believe this, the acronym should have said, let people out of jail, not the Safety Act. So even they know for this to pass, they had to lie to people, and they did it. What say you, libertarian?
I would say that risk assessment is objectively a better standard than amount of money when determining whether or not someone should stay in jail or not, especially because you've just been accused of a crime if you're in jail. You haven't been convicted of one. Now, I'm going to give everybody a minute to throw things at me if they want to, but
too small.
I will explain and say the problem with that is I do not trust this government to actually stick to that standard. They're probably going to make these decisions for political reasons, just like how in Chicago they have all these gun laws that they don't actually enforce so many of them because of different political reasons. They're not going to determine it based on who's dangerous and who's not. They're going to determine it based on what narratives they want to push forward versus what narratives they don't want to see pushed forward. So I think it's a great standard if that was what they were actually going to do, and I believe they were capable of it, but I unfortunately don't
All
think
right.
they are.
Speak some sense to these left-wing losers.
Let's go
Thank
one
you for that, by
let's
the
go
way.
down the checklist.
Thank you
First,
for that.
they're not going to change the name of the town to Alec Baldwin. They'll call it Deadwood. That's the new name of the town. Secondly, we're not talking about the crimes themselves. If it's a crime, if it's a violent crime, there should be no bail, period, no matter who the hell you are.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. No bail. Make it a moot point.
Yeah.
It's a moot point. We shouldn't even be talking about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just get so disgusted with the excuses for letting certain people commit crimes. Poor, guns are flooding into the neighborhood. Let's blame the members of the NRA. Well, hold on. Let me get this right. So in the neighborhood across the border from Chicago, in a state where guns are legal, that everyone in the town has a gun, there's zero crime. A few of them trickle over the border and there's a million shootings. It's not the gun. It's not an inanimate object. Let's get to the core of what's making people hurt people, particularly people who look like each other. I have on a blue bandana, you have on a red bandana. Let's find out what's really happening. Stop appeasing this so we can fix this country. That's what we need to do.
There you go. All right. In your face, whoever I'm talking to. Up next, CNN's dumb hunch about somebody else's lunch.
A story in 5 words.
5 words. CNN sees message in subway.
Jack Smith is tight-lipped. He was spotted today by CNN going to Subway for lunch, picking up a sandwich, leaving, and not saying a word.
Jack Smith going to Subway today is a message to Donald Trump. Donald Trump tries to intimidate people. He tries to bully people. He tries to scare you away. That was Jack Smith with no words and a simple $5 sub in his hand saying, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, the imagery was intentional and spoke volumes.
Kat, those were CNN hosts saying, well, you heard them.
All those people at that table and not one saying, what the are you talking about? We spotted him outside a Subway, and then he got a sandwich, and then he left.
You know, this
powerful message.
I know what the message was.
What?
The message was, look, Donald, I only eat one of these.
But that's the problem with they're doing wall-to-wall coverage on this.
Yeah.
So, like, those poor bastards have nothing else to add. Because there's nothing that new that's happened, but the network makes them do it. So they're like, okay, the sandwich, he didn't say anything, which must mean, like he's brave for going to get a sandwich. Do you think, like, Trump's going to be there and do what? It doesn't make any sense. They know it doesn't make any sense, but they're on
There was a
autopilot.
good chance Trump would be there.
Well,
you know, Joe, you are the sandwich expert, and as people have noticed at home, you do look like Jared from Subway.
Yes, I do. I do.
I did this story to for you.
Before you laugh too hard, he's been reading that on Twitter for 10 years. He didn't write that joke. I've
It really is a Twitter joke.
for a decade.
It's because it's true.
I know. Oh, geez.
I know.
I bet Jared wishes.
Tattoos are covering when he broke out the handcuffs. That's right. Covering the marks.
Jared wishes they had no cash bail back in. What were you?
I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Sandwiches.
I had a point to make.
What's the message? You want to do another Trump joke?
No, I was gonna. No. Actually, I was gonna actually say something in the other direction.
Right.
Smith. This is what as I was reading about this story. This is what I find crazy. So he is appointed to oversee these investigations about January 6th against Trump. Fine, whatever. His wife made a glowing documentary about Michelle Obama.
That's right.
I don't understand when conflict of interest comes into play anymore. If I, as a hoagie store owner, Joey Rose's 174 Rivington Street, if I as a hoagie store owner go to jury duty and they go, the defendant is a hoagie store owner, I am immediately sent out.
Yes.
I can't qualify anymore.
Exactly.
I don't understand how there's not a conflict of interest.
Yeah. I think from now on, we're just going to say you're an HSO.
Hoagie. Oh. Yeah.
He's an HSO. Bet you didn't know that. All right. That was a terrible joke I just made.
That's okay.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, do you have any thoughts on what I said though? I was really
Not really.
So what he
Asking you.
does is he asks you a question, then when you answer, he stops listening.
You get ready for the next question, yeah.
Charles, is it their fault? I mean, we're in this business. If you do one thing, as Joe was saying, wall to wall, or maybe it was Kat, I can't remember, wasn't listening.
Exactly, yeah.
If you do a
We
wall
do
to wall
look so much
coverage, this is what happens.
Yeah, I know. It kind of, I mean, when you read it, right, I'm fascinated to see what special counsel brings forward. And then Dana Bash, the imagery was intentional and spoke volumes. It's like they're smoking weed at an art gallery somewhere, or they see like a figure in a sandwich themselves. Look at that. But they have to be careful of CNN because their propensity to elevate people. And this idolatry, right? Governor Cuomo, he's going to be the next next president. And then Stormy Daniels' attorney, he is so amazing. You see the way he walks? Trump must be quivering right now. I mean, they do this.
Yeah.
This guy is the next Stormy Daniels lawyer, whatever the hell his name is. They're going to elevate. This guy's going to be Joe Biden's #1 contender come next November for the Democratic nomination.
You can bet, though, Stormy's had her share of footlongs. Oh! I mean, he said it. Blaming the black guy.
Hey,
I blame the black guy. You're the Jew. You get to defend him.
You're getting a chapter in my book.
My last thing.
I had a joke about contemporary art, and I'm not going to say it now because basically you just said it. It reminds me of going into an art gallery, just like over-analyzing something.
But also, Charles makes a good point, and I have to say, we have to be fair and balanced. When you find somebody that is on your side, you have a tendency to do that, and I'm sure we've done that here. But CNN, they go into these short-term like romances, and then they go. You don't hear from Stormy Daniels. You don't hear from Michael Avenatti anymore. You don't hear. Then who's the lawyer for Trump that's always on CNN now? Steve Cohen? No.
Michael Cohen.
Michael Cohen.
Yeah.
Like. They hated him before, but now they love him. It's so funny that's how it works.
What's scary, though, is CNN's audience, and they're just sitting there taking it in, and we're the ones pointing out how ridiculous this is and laughing about it. But this is a major news network that's watched all over the world, and their word is truth to many, and it's just become a farce.
All over the world, but only in airports.
And hotels. And hotels.
All right.
I like
that.
Oh, do we?
Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, I like that the message is like, look at this guy. He's shooting from the hip. He's secure. He's just waltzing in the subway, getting a hoagie, and leaving.
Yeah.
this couldn't have been more orchestrated.
Right.
He's got a team of people behind him. This is like when anytime you see a celebrity go like this to the paparazzi outside of a restaurant.
Oh, they
not
called
the
them
airport.
there.
They went to the restaurant on purpose.
Yeah.
Because that's where the paparazzi is.
Yeah.
And this to me just felt like that. So maybe it is a message. I don't know what the message is, but what do you think the message could be?
I don't know. To be honest, I tuned out. The cat wasn't lying.
No.
He was. I'm like literally.
No, because he needs time to start thinking of what he's going to say.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat. See, when you start doing a segment on food, I'm done. I'll just start thinking about what I'm eating.
You know what? This show went right to your head. You used to care. You used to care on Red Eye.
I cared less. All right, coming up, are humans ready to take their shot with a sexy bot? That's funny.
Mock it and move on.
Time once again for Mock It and Move On. First up, a former Google executive predicts AI-powered sex robots will eliminate the need for human partners. Joe, it's not like you... Well...
Go ahead. Wait, don't step on my joke.
Joe, what do you think? What do you think of this?
Greg, I don't have a sex robot, and I eliminated the need for another human being years ago.
That's what happens in jail.
You almost stepped on it.
Yes. Yes. But by the way, I mean, let's point something out here, Brooke. You get a sex bot, where do you keep it? I mean, like, somebody's going to stumble onto it. It's like somebody walking in on your porn collection when you had one, or if.
Well, when I walked in on my husband with his sex robot, I was relieved. I just thought, this is so sad because, when we were reading the articles about how people were texting so much that they couldn't talk to each other anymore, and then people started using dating apps, and then they didn't know how to go on a date anymore, and where is this leading? This is like the elimination of my kind.
What's your problem?
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Because what's the sexiest thing someone can do? Not want to have sex with you. So if these robots are just like, I'm here, I'm ready to bang, then you're not going to want that. You're going to be like, what's wrong with you that you want to have sex with me?
Yeah. No, do you need some kind of challenge?
The fact that you worry that they think you're ugly and they might leave you, hottest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But the robots are
unless the challenge, there is a challenge there. It's inflating it. That's the challenge.
Changing the batteries.
Changing the batteries.
Well, the robots will learn how to say no.
Well, that's right. If they get consciousness, they will then be a whole new race.
Then they'll start pressing charges.
They'll have headaches.
And
they'll have migraines. The damn sex bot has a migraine, Charles. Or they'll be mad if you don't call them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I misread the email.
Yes.
I thought it said we have headlines and you have to come up with alternative headlines.
Oh, please, I want to hear them.
So, okay, for this one, AI-powered sex robot seems alive, eliminates the need for another human being. My next headline, my alternative headline is, it's the year 2026, and everyone's working from home. In fact, 90% of Americans never leave home. That was my alternative headline. That's not too bad, right?
Oh, it's all right. It's all right. We got to move on, though, because this is a short segment and I'm dropping everything. Anyway, next, in Chicago, an airplane evacuation slide fell out of the sky into someone's yard. All right, Charles, I know you might have a headline for this, but how does it... That means there's a plane up there without the slide.
Yeah, my headline. Okay, my alternative headline. Ready?
Yes.
Airline decides it's time to keep safety slide in the cargo hall no longer in a fishing net attached to the side of the plane. That's the headline.
Well, I guess we should be lucky it wasn't an in-flight meal. Yeah, because they suck.
Yeah. Well, you're looking at me. I don't know if you're...
I know. I'm just looking at you because I know that you get really uncomfortable when I just stare at you.
Yeah, especially when we're not on TV.
Wouldn't it be great if the parents were in the yard, Joe, and one of their kids was screaming that they wanted a slide, and the parent says, "No, what do you think? They just fall out of the sky?" And then get this, and falls and it kills the child.
Oh, God.
I know. That was
and then they say the kid died of COVID.
Yes, they say died of COVID.
It's a good crowd.
And there was no bail for the pilot. Murderer. Do you have anything you want to add?
I was just going to say, this is why United has the best prices in the business. Can't have it all.
Yes.
Like, you got a $200 seat, there's no slide. Take your chance.
By the way, I don't want to slide.
I just learned that there were slides.
Yeah, yes.
How long are the slides?
They're just long enough to get out. They're never used except when you're on the runway. Like, you can't slide out. And I guess they did.
No, there was that crash landing in the Hudson River.
Do you know that never happened?
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What? Never happened.
What do you mean?
The landing, you know, with that dude, what's his name?
Yeah.
Sully? Sully, never
Yeah.
happened.
What?
A completely made up story. I just want people to start Googling that. If I say that right now, could I generate a conspiracy? Are you really sure that happened? All right, we got to move on. Why burglars long in the tooth do better than thieving youth.
That's good to know.
Yeah, here's something that's good to know. A study reveals that older burglars are better at their job than younger ones because they're less likely to get caught and have better planning skills than young burglars. Kat, why would they do this study? Why do we need to know that older burglars are better than younger burglars?
To make all of us feel better about aging.
That's probably what it's for. And there's probably an old burglar at home.
It gave me an idea.
Yes.
Like if I ever live to be like 80 and I'm just like, oh, this little old lady, of course I'm going to go into your house and steal your
Yeah. No one's going to accuse
You're
the
not
old
going to
lady.
stop me. They're going to be like, oh, she doesn't know where she is. I'll know where I am. I'm at your house taking your stuff and taking it home with me.
Exactly. And I bet you right now, older burglars are at home right now. Joan goes, yep, as they're taking, well, anyway.
Good.
You want me to? Well, you had a recent experience.
Yes, I did.
You were a victim.
I did. I was a victim.
Yes.
Yes, I was burglarized.
Yes.
I don't know how old the person was, but he was very good.
Yeah,
So
he was very good.
I'm gonna guess he was an older gentleman.
Yes. What if he's?
But I love first of all, to the study, no. Older people are better at the job than younger people have done it for less. But it said the reason they conducted the study was to reduce criminal activity and promote societal safety. And I think the best way to do that is starting by not conducting a study that helps burglars get better at their job.
Yes.
Like it was like crazy. It was like a obstacle course for burglars.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, but it is what you're saying is true. Brooke, it's true of everything in life.
What's being bad at burglaring? Like just like taking the item and then dropping it on your way out? Like I don't understand. Like,
well, I guess it's choosing the right time, or maybe you don't care if there's somebody.
Are the lights on?
Yeah, are the lights on? But there's some people that do like the excitement of a home invasion.
Right.
Talking from the burglar's point of view.
But what I'm so offended by this study is they defined old as over 21. And being 27 myself,
yes.
I don't consider myself that old.
You are ageless. You are ageless, Brooke.
That makes up for all your Jew jokes.
Jewish jokes.
Oh, Jewish.
Anti-Semite. Charles, finish up.
First of all, I used to love those the cat burglar movies, right? Cary Grant. And,
yes.
Those kind of
burglars were seen as cool and rich.
And they steal the diamond and the thing that. So in a way, it's kind of cool, but it also burnishes the theory that prisons are great universities for crime. Right? So that's why the more you go in, it's like Malcolm Gladwell. The more you go in and talk to the old dudes, the better you get.
Yeah.
So there's an obvious reason we should also get rid of that. No bail thing, right? The cash is bail. Keep them in there so they can get better at their craft.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't know that old. They said what was old was over 21.
Yeah, that's weird.
Same thing Jared Fogle felt. And then go to you. The camera goes to you. Yeah, it's hard to believe, people. We actually have Jared Fogle on tonight. Watch the repeat at whatever it is. Don't go away. We'll be right back. We're out of time. Thanks to Charles Payne, Brooke Goldstein, Joe DeRosa, Kat Tip, our studio audience, Fox News and Now with Jimmy Chase Gallagher. Thanks, love you, America.